So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Green morning, green afternoon, green evening to everybody world over, wherever you are in the different continents, in the different countries, in the different parts of the world, different time zones. Ladies and gentlemen, we extend your very hearty welcome to yet another very powerful evening where we are going to deliberate, discuss, and we are going to take the journey ahead. Today's 139th webinar, Making Education Relevant. When we talk about making education relevant, it's the global confluence of educators, corporate visionaries, research scholars, innovators, skill developers, entrepreneurs, startups, MSMEs, and employment providers and generators. So this evening, it's a proud privilege. We have got Madam Priyanka Kaushik. She is the founder of the Noi Moi Textile Company, Assam. And the title today we have got Innovation in Startup, Connecting Rural Artisans. Now, before we go for today's program, let me share a couple of slides with you so that we all are on the common frequency. What is the purpose of this particular event? Why are we doing during this pandemic and coronavirus? What all we have been doing all these days, and what exactly is the journey ahead, and what do we wish to achieve? Ladies and gentlemen, our chamber, International Chamber for Service Industry, is the chamber which is a confluence of 30 million non-resident Indians from the world over. They are in the different countries, different parts, some of them working for others, they are CEOs. Some of them, they are having their own entrepreneurship ventures, they have generated employment, and they have brought a lot of FDI also to India. So this particular pandemic, this particular journey, what we have got at this point of time, our complete focus is how to make education relevant at this point of time. Children, they are away from their institutions. They are not able to go to school, colleges, universities. So there's a lot of difficulty. And at present, providing seamless connectivity and providing the gadget and the instrument to every child is again a very difficult task. But however, our teachers, our educators, and the entire education fraternity is also working like a warriors, like a doctors, nurses, and paramedical people to help out every child. So let's move ahead in this particular journey. During the lockdown, thought process is affected, business is affected, physical and mental health is affected, and main part of the universe, education, is deeply affected. However, from India, we believe in Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam, one world, one love, one family, and that's the way we all got to move ahead. Ladies and gentlemen, today is the most important day of this universe. Education, when we talk about literacy. It's an International Literacy Day. How to empower women, women empowerment, education empowerment. Education should reach out everybody, gender equality. All that when we talk about, it's possible when we make every person on this planet literate. So hearty welcome on the International Literacy Day. Government of India, the Honorable Prime Minister of India, Education Minister of India, and the entire cabinet and all the stakeholders, they have announced the new education policy. Now, this new education policy, once it comes into force, it comes into implementation, it will change the entire gamut and the ecosystem of education. Can you imagine from the sixth class onward, coding, internship, vocational skills, competencies, and every child following their passion. The other day, legend, when you talk about music industry, Asha Bhosleji, she complimented the Honorable Prime Minister and the entire cabinet that this is going to be for the first time that arts, science, commerce, no tight compartment. Any child can take any subject and they can enjoy the music notes as well. And music would also be one of the subjects. Now, Monday to Sunday, 7 to 8 p.m. Like today is Tuesday, you have rightly heard, Monday to Sunday. I'm not talking about Monday to Friday, it's Monday to Sunday, 7 to 8 p.m., making education relevant, global confluence of the educators and motivators. And this is providing not living skills, not only job skills, not only entrepreneurial skills, but the life management skills. Jivan Sanchalan Kaushal. 15th of July, that was International Skill Day, and there was a beautiful journey. We started YES program, Youth Empowerment Strategies. As a part of that, we are moving ahead. Water scarcity, water conservation, water management is very important. Every evening, with the main speaker, with the main legend, and the main celebrity, we also get 5 girls under women empowerment from world over. They join us and they are in this journey where they talk for a minute or two and they share with us how to make education relevant while talking about water conservation, which is the part of our life. जल ही जीवन है, जल संरक्षण, जल है तो कल है. That is something very important which we are talking every evening. Yes, women empowerment is very important. When you educate a boy, when you educate a male member, you educate an individual. But when you educate girl child, you educate subsequent generations, ladies and gentlemen. Can you imagine how many generations? And Monday to Sunday, I discussed with you. So Monday to Thursday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you've got 4 legends, 4 celebrities. Those come, they share their vision with us. And on Friday evening, 500 million plus Buddhism followers world over. What is Buddha's teaching? What is Buddha's teaching relevance in today's education system? So every Friday evening, 7 p.m., under the dynamic and dedicated leadership of Venerable Dr. Dhammapiya Ji, who is the Secretary General of International Buddhist Confederation from world over, we get the experts and they talk and they discuss with us. Saturday evening, you got to look smart, you got to talk smart, you got to walk smart, you got to think smart, you got to dream smart, you got to sleep smart, and you got to remain positive during this coronavirus. That is something very important. At the age of 70, if I am talking like a 20-year-old child, because the energy which is flowing in my body, that is a 20-year-old boy. And that is the way, because mentally, I'm very strong. Mental robustness is very important. So yoga, meditation, naturopathy, nutrition, organic food, sleeping timely, getting up timely. Only one thing is your own, and that is your health, which goes till end with you. You should not become liability on this planet for anybody. For that matter, eat well, live well, think positive. When you think positive, the whole world will be beautiful. Then comes Sunday morning. Sunday morning, 9:30, we start Vidya se Adhyatam Vidya ki aur. आइए शिक्षा को प्रासंगिक बनाएं. An integrative series of Srimad Bhagavad Gita and the 10 principal Upanishad. What is ancient India? What is the rich heritage of India? How India was Sone ki Chidiya? And today's celebrity who is going to share her vision with us. Do you know Assam, where from she comes, was one of the richest states in India? It used to generate maximum revenue in India. What Assam was contributing. So ladies and gentlemen, lot to discuss, lot to deliberate, and once again, India has to regain its position. Then comes Sunday evening at 5 p.m. India ASEAN, where we focus on northeast part of India and where we take all the states together, right, starting from Tripura to Manipur, to Assam, to Meghalaya, to Arunachal Pradesh, to Nagaland, to Sikkim, and to Mizoram. All the states together, all the 8, and Honorable Prime Minister of India calls it Ashta Lakshmi. And this is a wonderful place. I have been associated for last about 50 years, and wonderful people, wonderful cuisine, art, craft, handicraft, nature, dances, music, lifestyle, living style, no apprehensions, no inhibitions. People are so good, so wonderful. I think this is the time that during this corona, and once you get little better, the Prime Minister has already conveyed that you cannot travel internationally, and at the same time, you must travel different places in India. I would request each one of you, you must visit India. Go to Kaziranga, see the one-horned rhino. It's beautiful. Go to Kamakhya temple and see the Lord Shiva's, one of the deities, what exactly it is and how it is. At the same time, there are wonderful places. And why I'm telling is because herbal tourism, nature tourism, green tourism, ecotourism, flora and fauna tourism, whatever I can think on this planet, that all exist in Northeast. And Northeast is very green. It has got a rich flora and fauna. Now, Sunday evening, 7 p.m., like today we have got Tuesday evening. Sunday evening, you have got Rabindranath Ji, the former chairman and CMD of the NSIC, where we talk about the micro, small, and medium enterprises. What are the new pedagogies, anthropologies, and strategies? What all is happening on this particular planet? Startups. Yesterday, you had the gentleman who shared with us, and he was basically serial entrepreneur. Yesterday, you heard him, the entrepreneurship school at Gurugram. What a wonderful journey yesterday evening. Today also you're going to enjoy because we will be taking you to northeast part of India. So startups, young boys and girls, get up, start up, stand up. That's what you got to look at it because that is the way entrepreneurship is future. You've got to think idea implementation is starting up. So implement your idea. I'm thankful to Colonel Anil Kumar Pokhriyal. He is the CEO of the Management and Entrepreneurship and Professional Skill Council under the aegis of Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, Government of India. Ladies and gentlemen, this entire journey, what we are having in this month, is Colonel Anil Kumar Pokhriyal, the CEO, who is bringing this entire package to bring the right awareness to all the youth of not only India, the world over, collaborate with each other, confluence of your ideas, and that's the way the entrepreneurship and startups has to grow. Our chamber, because we take care of the global part, so from morning 9 till evening 9 o'clock, 12 hours, there's a non-stop service for the teachers, for the youth, for the startups, anybody, whatsoever you're looking forward to. Our aim is not to give you living skills, but to get you the life management skills. Ladies and gentlemen, right from 25th of March till 31st of August, all the research which we have synthesized from approximately 149 countries where the ICSI has got its presence, our chamber has got the presence, we have got synthesized the information when I talk about the B2B will be no more business to business. It will be termed as back to basics of life. You've got to first of all taking care of your basic food, your basic survival, your basic living, and thereby yesterday startup also made a mention when he talked about that agriculture startups are badly needed in India and the youth should come forward how we can have the organic startups in India with regard to agriculture. Second part, your health and wellness. When we talk about your health and happiness, it's very important. There should be a holistic healing, mentally and physically. You've got to be fine. And third is your education. This is the last slide, which I show you before I take you to my dignitaries. Whatsoever human mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. Let's come together. Let's make education relevant. It's a global confluence of educators, motivators, technocrats, counselors, wellness experts, corporate, government administrators, and decision makers, all of us together. When we talk about it, International Chamber for Service Industry extends you a very warm welcome to come either as a panelist or send us your suggestion, whatever you have got, how we can be together and how we can empower the entire ecosystem of making education relevant. Ladies and gentlemen, every evening we get the 5-star of every evening. 4 to 5 girls come every evening. Let's save every drop of water. The water has to be saved. After our main speaker will speak, and once she would have done, thereafter we will invite these 5 girls. They'll speak for a minute each, and we want to have them extempore, where they should talk about what strategies they have got in their mind, where they are thinking, how to save water. how to save every drop of water, what exactly has to be done, which way we have to proceed. That part is very important. And this particular journey is under Colonel K.C. Menon, who's the regional advisor, Southern India for the International Chamber for Service Industry. His mobile is also listed here. His email ID is also listed here. So all the principals, all the teachers and educators, and of course my girl child, if you're interested to be a panelist, please do send your request directly to Colonel Menon. If you're sending from abroad, write +91 and thereafter his number 87544 26270. His email is also given here, advisor South India @icsi.asia. So you all are welcome. Please be a part of it. It would be wonderful to have all of you. So ladies and gentlemen, here is the celebrity of the evening, and here is the guest of the evening who is going to share her thought process, what exactly she is doing, how is she working. It is Madam Priyanka Kaushik. She is the founder, Noi Moi Textile Company, Assam. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of our chamber, we extend her very hearty welcome. She started her career with IMG Mumbai and gained valuable insight into the world of fashion as a core member of the Lakme Fashion Week team. In her career of over 10 years in the fashion and sustainability, she has worked with a gamut of artists and designers from across the globe, having traveled through the countryscape and associating with rural artisans. She co-founded The Yard, a project supporting local Indian craftsmen in promoting their art in Europe. Returning to our roots in Assam, those are watching this program on Facebook from world over, please open your watch parties. Come on Dr. Gulshan Sharma's page, those have not joined so far. Assam is one of the beautiful, biggest state in size when you talk about and everything in the northeast part of India. If you remember Bihu festival, that is from this part. So returning to her roots in Assam, she began her journey into the world of handloom after a chance meeting with Aris Silk. This gave birth to Noi Moi. Noi means river and Moi earth in Assamese. A clothing experience co-created with the rural artisans and nature alike, inspired by the grace that is witnessed in a meeting of two, Noi Moi, a poet, yoga practitioner, and a curious explorer. Madam Priyanka muses with the ideas of simplicity and conscious living on her journey of self-discovery. Before we invite Priyanka Kaushik ma'am, like it happens in the media entertainment industry, and before you drop the curtains, we have got a little dedication to the entire world from our chamber. We are dedicating during this coronavirus, during this pandemic, we are gifting to entire global India ne once again punah Vishwa Guru banna hai. So to become the Vishwa Guru, here are the musical notes, because music's come and music is a part of the education. And this is what we go, and thereafter we start with the program of this evening.
विश्व गुरु बनना है भारत, भारत का सम्मान करो। विश्व गुरु बनना है भारत, भारत का सम्मान करो। शिक्षा के पथ पे आगे बढ़कर, शिक्षा के पथ पे आगे बढ़कर सबका ही कल्याण करो, भारत का सम्मान करो, भारत का सम्मान करो। आर्यभट्ट से उज्जवल शिक्षक पूर्ण जगत में छा जाओ, आर्यभट्ट से उज्जवल शिक्षक पूर्ण जगत में छा जाओ, श्रेष्ठ वर्ग के तारे बनकर अपना नाम भी चमकाओ। विश्व गुरु बनना है भारत, भारत का सम्मान करो, विश्व गुरु बनना है भारत, भारत का सम्मान करो। शिक्षा के पथ पे आगे बढ़कर, शिक्षा के पथ पे आगे बढ़कर सबका ही कल्याण करो। शंखनाद से सकल जगत में गौरव में गुणगान करो, गगन कल्पना एपीजे कलाम और भगत सिंह बन जाओ, साहस भर के झांसी जैसा जीवन का बलिदान करो। गगन कल्पना एपीजे कलाम और भगत सिंह बन जाओ, साहस भर के झांसी जैसा जीवन का बलिदान करो। विश्व गुरु बनना है भारत, भारत का सम्मान करो, विश्व गुरु बनना है भारत, भारत का सम्मान करो। भारत का सम्मान करो, भारत का सम्मान करो, भारत का सम्मान करो, भारत का सम्मान करो।
So this is a small introduction and a small gesture from our chamber to the entire world, because the new education policy in India has been announced. And ladies and gentlemen, in this new education policy, we have got in entrepreneurship, internship, you've got vocational, you've got skills, and there's a lot to be done. So this evening, we are privileged. It's indeed a great privilege to have Madam Priyanka Kaushik. She's the founder of the Noi Moi and textile company in Assam. Hearty welcome to you, ma'am. It's a pleasure to have you with us. And let's go ahead. Let's hear your journey, your vision. You can give us a little profile of your Bombay experience also, then coming back to Assam, and from there then taking it further. Whatever you feel like, I would say packaging. Aim is the younger generation today, they all should get a fair amount of idea. So initially we talk about your entire venture, and then we will talk about Northeast India as well today. With these words, Priyanka Kaushik, ma'am.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for the warm welcome. And before I say anything, I must congratulate you. And it's such a positive thing to just to be. I never expected such a thing. I'm so amazed with your energy, sir. It's brilliant. Thank you so much for having me, and it's lovely talking to you. I've only been hearing a lot about you, and finally, we are here. Um, and truth be told, I'm delighted to be heard, and this is a good opportunity for me to be heard. So I think it's brilliant. Um, so the thing is, before we begin, I want to also say one thing, is that years before the coronavirus situation kind of erupted, we used to say this, and we used to feel it in our bones as entrepreneurs, that entrepreneurship is a lonely journey. It is a lonely journey. But now, over the last few months, maybe this is what the silver lining is about, when we have leaders like yourself and others like Colonel Sir and Santosh and people that are in our community that are always working diligently to create a sense of solidarity and community in our field of work and connecting people. So this is brilliant. Also, from your presentation, I really like these terms, and I'm going to probably use it with your permission, like words like back to basic, B2B, things like that. They're quite interesting. And also, I'm very inspired. As we go through our presentation, you will see how I am inspired by nature, and how it is the need of the hour for us to be responsible and sensible. It's a very important thing for us to be smart. We are becoming a smart nation, but it's also equally important for us to become sensible. And there are certain steps that we have to take. Maybe we have to take certain steps back, and this is a good opportunity for us to reevaluate, redefine, rediscover who we are and what we can be. So let's start with my introduction. I know that you've already done that, but I tell you where I'm from properly. I am from a small town called Jorhat in Assam. Um, I grew up in a small town, a middle class family. Like any other small town girl, I suppose these dreams were instilled in me. Where when in our 10th standard, we knew, our parents were also preparing us from a very young age, that after your 10th or your 12th, you're going to have to leave. So we kind of became very self-sufficient and independent from a very young age, because we knew that if we wanted to make something of our lives, we'll have to step out. And that was the dream, just to step out to the big city. That was the dream. And to be independent and then be strong, and all of these things that we have been conditioned to think, those were the dreams that I left Assam after my school. And then I realized that I lost ambition very soon after I got my first job at IMG, because I became so capable of running Fashion Week, because I'd done so many of them. And I know that I'm saying that with a bit of immodesty, but it's not because I have special talents. It's because you've spent so many hours doing the same thing that you've become capable of doing something, and you've got whatever you need from the job. So that's what happened with me. I'll tell you, share with you that little story that happened with me in the middle of utter chaos. And it was a finale show, I think in 2012, 2013. And there was complete chaos backstage. There were five motorized doors that were supposed to open for models to walk in on the ramp, and then five out of the five of them, three of them didn't work, and only two were working. So it was complete chaos. And I remember what was happening, and in that time I had a little bit of an epiphany of sorts, and I realized that I did not want to do this anymore, that I couldn't do this anymore to myself. I realized that I needed a different ambition or different meaning in my life, because the next thing that I have to do on that job is to become a piece of furniture in the office. I didn't want that for myself. So what I did was I took a decision, a very hard decision, to leave Bombay, to leave the job, and not knowing what I wanted to do. I'll be very honest, I didn't know that I was going to end up doing this at that time. I just knew I didn't want that. So with an intention of wanting something more, I set out to explore more things in life. And I met some interesting people who introduced me to the whole slow movement. Although it's actually quite, the irony is this, that I'm from a place like Assam. I should be the one introducing other people what slow movement is about, but then I got introduced to slow movement there by a European. It was just the biggest irony of my life. And but nonetheless, I actually opened my eyes, and even now this is a reality. A lot of us, even though we are in this time when people are becoming aware, it's also true that people are not so aware also of our own value system and of our own our inherent nature of what we are about. So anyhow, I really, it was an opening like of my whole life changed, I think, at that time. I lost a lot of money. I lost all my money that I had earned because I made mistakes, and but there is a lot of learning. There was falling and rising and discovering, rediscovering, and finally I came to a point when I came back to Assam. My mom had taken me to a museum with her friends, and I saw this silk hung. And I like, in my introduction, you already said I'm a poet, so I'm going to be a little dramatic about things. I can't help it, sir. So, so what I saw was not a piece of textile. What I saw was this glorious thing that was standing tall and calling my name as though it was my life's calling, and it was this divine. There was this light, like a spotlight on it, and it was one of those moments. The second thing that happened in my life after years, though, and then I got fascinated by it. So why it resonated with me, I tell you now, because I know now, right from the process of the emergence of the silk, the whole process of metamorphosis of the silk resonated with me, because I think I was going through kind of a metamorphosis of my own. Like I was emerging from my own cocoon and becoming somebody that I thought I wasn't, or I didn't know I was. So it resonated with me on a very spiritual, on a deep level, in a very spiritual way as well. And that's when I knew I wanted to do something. And sure enough, I figured out the magical properties that the silk entails. So it's the only non-violent silk in the world. It has thermal properties. That means it will keep you cool in summer and warm in winter. It has antimicrobial properties, and it uses so little water as compared to any other fabrics, and it uses very little land for its cultivation. So it is really, if you ask me, it is a way to describe. It represents virtues of mother nature. That's the way to describe it. So I would say, I always describe Eri silk like this: if it had a living personality, it would be that of a woman or a goddess that any other woman wants to be. So that's how fascinating it was for me, and I really went all in. And then in my journey, so now when I tell you that the rearing happens in house, you can't understand. I'll show you in the pictures a little bit of, I've got in the presentation, I've got some pictures, you will get an idea. But when I went there, I realized how special the practices are also, and the people also. Because I went there first time, and I went there, I realized by this time I've got an idea what Eri silk is, and I thought that I'll buy some stuff from them and then I'll sell it in Europe. That's how my mentality was, only that much. Because still Bombay has not gone from the system. It's still there. So what I did was, I went there with 30,000 rupees cash in my bag. And I went to all the artisans, and all of them treated me with so much love and affection, and there was so much warmth, and hospitality was great as usual. And they all refused to sell anything to me or take any orders for the next 3 months, because there is somebody in the village, not in their family, somebody in the village is getting married. So they refused to the 30,000 rupees cash they knew I had in my bag. They sent it back along with that money. They sent me my car's trunk was full of food and vegetables and fruits and things like that. So I came back all humbled and with another kind of a shock, like a culture shock. Being an Assamese, I was only shocked. I was thinking, what's going on? how is this ever happening to me? And then I realized that, empathy is the language you need to speak with them. It doesn't matter if I can speak Assamese, it's not enough. I need to, so that's when I educated myself more about kind of human connections and how I need to connect with them. And that is why I was saying that it's the discovery of a different kind that I experienced when I experienced this. So after that, what happened was,
Came back with 30,000 rupees. Then we want to proceed.
yeah, so 30,000 rupees unspent came back, and then I was shocked, and I was culture shock, being an Assamese, culture shock. And then that's when and I'll also share with you as a little story when I go through the presentation. Now I will just bounce it. It was unreal because this woman, the lady that I interacted with, I saw from a distance, she was wearing this, lungi type of a thing that South Indians wear, that folded lungi, and a shirt on top, and the gamusa tied on her forehead like a bandana. So from a distance, I couldn't tell if she was a woman or a man because it looked like a man. So I thought, why is this? What is happening? Because we were very urbanized. We don't know the whole process of farming and rice cultivation. It's a very important part of Assam's culture, but I had not witnessed it till that time. So she was sowing rice seeds, right? And then and she came out of that full in muck dripping out of her legs and things, like in that state, right? And then she, although she was annoyed perhaps, but because she's, sweet, so she allowed me and she entertained me. And then she came out, emerged as a complete, like in mekhla chadar, the two-piece traditional. So I was thinking, like, and she transformed herself to this beautiful woman, and who is full of power, not a docile Barbie girl kind of a introduction to what women are. Assamese women are like full powerhouse. If you go to the rural sector, you will see how they are such innovators. They will ride 20 kilometers to and fro, that means 40 kilometers every day, to pick up their children from the town nearby, from a school where they are studying. And then they'll not just travel, like they will also, then they would have created something innovative. They've got on the cycle, they've got a chair installed, like a small chair installed, so the baby can sit behind. So things like that, it was completely, and if you go to them, and there were tall women, toned bodies, and I'm thinking, oh my god, if Fashion Week people saw these women, they would want them on the ramp. I would want them on the ramp because they're such great women, great looking women. But that is the time when Bombay left and Assam kind of came back came back, and it has only grown and evolved from there on. So shall I start with my presentation? Perhaps maybe I'll just show you what I do.
All yours. Take your time. Take your time. We
Okay.
want to listen your complete story because the aim is to empower every young girl, every boy, every person, so that they all can take up some venture, maybe some other different venture in their own way, in their own communities, at their own places. Aim is to make children entrepreneurs.
Yeah. Sorry, just give me a second. I'll just open
Yes.
my presentation, please. Okay, so the name of the enterprise is Noi Mohi, Mohi, Mohi. So Noi means river and Mohi means earth in Assamese language. What we do is that we co-create with artisans, and we take what's traditional, and we make it, we present it in a contemporary and a relevant way to the world that understand, in a way that people understand and want to be part of. Before I go into what we do, I thought I'll just introduce you to the handloom industry, because in case there are people who are not from the industry, they will probably find it to be interesting. I'm just going to take 1 second to minimize the side screen, if you don't mind.
Take your time. Take your time. And meanwhile, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to tell you, I used to be when I used to crisscross and travel in Assam. It's a beautiful state. And I still recall long time back with my family, with everybody, we used to travel. And that time there used to be a Sham booster, and there used to be a black and white TV, and there used to be Mahabharat serial. And we used to stop at any residence and witness that program 10 to 11 in the morning and have a cup of tea also, SMS tea with the people. Very warm people, very nice people. and I would say very laborious and very good people. We enjoyed every moment of our visit and stay in Assam. Please go ahead.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very inherent to people of Northeast India. So coming back to the presentation, so the handloom industry, according to the latest census, this is where we stand. There is a 13.8% increase in the number of weaver households from last year number. So we have total of and allied workers. So we have total of 25 lakhs weaver households in India. So I'll give you some interesting facts, and you can see the little star there. It is with a reason. Um, you will know in a moment. So there are three eastern states that comprises of 18 lakh weaver households, and there are 63.5% women weavers, and 66.3% of weaver households that earn less than 5,000 rupees. And if I'm not mistaken, it's less than 90% earn 10,000 rupees a month. 3.3% weavers are insured. Even less percentage are even aware of such schemes, and 23.3% have bank accounts. Right. And so then we have something called organic. So the organic capital, what is it? So if you are familiar with terms like financial capitals and fashion capital, without a doubt, Northeast should be called the organic capital of the country. And you have already you already agree with it. You've said it, but I agree, because when the moment you breathe, the moment you enter Northeast India land, and then you see the difference in the oxygen itself. It's very different. The kind of the kind of the vibrance that it exudes. It's one of a kind. And out of the 25 lakhs weaver households in India, Assam contains almost 11 lakhs household weavers. That makes for 42.85% of the total weaver households. West Bengal is 3.4 and Manipur is 2.1 lakhs. So therefore, you can see the star. It makes sense, not because I'm Assamese biased. It is a star player because you can see that they're doing something in preserving the culture in better than any other state in the country. So they deserve that star. Now, out of the 10.9 lakh weaver households of Assam, 12.4 use indigenous silk called Muga, and 6.3 use another indigenous silk of Northeast India called Eri silk, which is what I am an ardent admirer of. Muga silk is also known as the golden silk of the world. You must have heard about it. So this is the handloom industry at a glance. And so let's get into what Noi Mohi is about. So Noi Mohi, like I said, Noi means river, Mohi means earth in Assamese. So this is basically an expression of the feminine aspects of nature, because that's what Northeast represents. That's what Eri silk represents. That's what our artisans represent. That's what I represent. So it's an amalgamation of all of those things, and especially the feminine aspects of life and nature. That's what it is.
Priyanka ma'am, small request. People from world over on Facebook are writing that your vocals, if you can bring your mic near, that would be very kind of you. Your mic, you can just bring near because your vocals are not reaching people.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, a little bit you can bring near. You can hold it if you wish. You can hold it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Yes.
So I hope it's better. Please let us know. Please let me know if it is.
Thank you.
Okay. We use rural. We work with rural household artisans. So we use Tatkal. Tatkal is a traditional loom of Assam, and we use natural resources, dyes, and other material that are found and sourced locally. We place a great value on empathy. Therefore, our designs are quite innovative, and we keep in mind consumer needs, values, and emotions, and we try to link all of those things together when we create our products. The other thing is that we always say that our products carry history draped in fabrics, because the motif that we use, it's not really created by us. It's something that has been gifted to us by our ancestors, and it has been passed on from generation to generation. And we use that in a contemporary and a relevant way to make our products. Our heroes of our brands, we call them the heroes of our brands, because they really are. And we don't do that just for the sake of it, because we do it with a lot of involvement. So what we do, and we want to make sure that our artisans know that they are the heroes of our brands. So we in our small little way, what we try to do, there's a long way to go, but right now what we have been able to do is that we carry in our little tags, we carry messages. We make sure that there are messages written by our artisans in local languages, and it's communicated with the artisans, it's translated in English, but then there is a symbolic connection between our artisan and our consumers. So and our artisans are aware of it. So it's kind of like it's done with the intention of inculcating a sense of dignity and pride in them. um, our design innovations are also inspired by tradition. We in Assam, we have something called a two-piece sari. What we do is that we mix and match. What we give options of mixing and matching for consumers. So what they do, there is a two-piece sari. That means that you can wear a skirt, and then the top of the that's called the sador. You can mix and match with different varieties. So you're reducing the size of the wardrobe, but you also have creative options and different options on what you want to do with your wardrobe, right? So that is one thing. Customized designs based on digital preferences of buyers. So we've just begun this process. We are calling it co-create. Anyway, we keep talking about co-creation because that's the most important aspect of what Noimohi is about. So right now we have gone and launched this thing. So we are inviting people, and I'll talk about it later on in the slide also. So we are inviting buyers to become part of the buying process. And how we do that, I'll explain it in the future slide. We have been successfully able to integrate backward and forward linkages with wearers of silk and artisans of finished products and buyers, you know. So that has happened because of our interventions. And we co-create ideas. We take ideas from our artisans. We not just take ideas, we also we are kind of always looking for new things. You know, sometimes they are also very enthusiastic. Now then we create our own dyes. Sometimes there are berries that are found in their backyard, you know, and they create wonderful colors out of it, and it's just unbelievable how talented they are, and how, because then it's also exciting for them to do new things. So we are always working with the team together. We are against overproduction or wastage of any kind of natural resources, especially water. So we do limited edition. So that means that you know, we don't overproduce. So there's not there's not like too many products. We maintain the size of our inventory. And seasonal, as in, again, our artisans, really highly skilled artisans, are not necessarily always available throughout the year. The dyes that we use are not always available throughout the year. So when they are available, so we use the word seasonal in this way. We are not using the word seasonal in the way fashion uses it, right? So it's not summer, festive, or fall, winter, or things like that. It's seasonal because in the sense of availability, and so that makes it even more special. Like I said, we have we place a great deal of value on empathy. Less water usage is very important. We want to conserve water because textile has unfortunately become one of the biggest reasons, one of the biggest pollutants of the planet. And we want to be concerned, we want to be responsible about it. We don't want, and it's not a question of luxury anymore. In next 10, 20 years, we are going to have to look for options that are that use less water in the making of the fabric. For example, in cotton, I'll just give you an example. In cotton shirt to make, you will probably use 27,000 liters of water. Whereas if you make the same shirt in Eri silk, use it with 20 liters of water. You'll make it with 20 liters of water. So that is the kind of difference, and it's going to not be a luxurious thing, it'll become like a need for people. And that's why it's very crucial for people, especially in the Northeast, to understand what kind of treasures and what kind of resources we are blessed with, and how to make use of it, and how to become leaders in our fields, and show the way. It's important that also, the other thing, it's more skin friendly, because natural fibers keep static away. It and also because it has, like I said, these properties, antimicrobial properties. So it keeps your skin allergy free, things like that. And if it's maintained well, it can be passed on to the next generations. I have got my mother's Eri silk in my wardrobe, so it passes on generation to generation if you're maintaining well. That is the very definition of what sustainability is all about. So it is really a magical, that's why I keep saying it's a magical fabric. uh, and then it's non-violent, so it's spun, it's not real. That silk is not real, so you don't have to boil the worm to create the silk, to make the silk. In other silks you have to boil the worm while it's alive, and then so it's not, I mean, well, truth is that it's not as romantic as it sounds, but then you don't need to kill the worm to make the silk. And that makes it ahimsa silk, or the non-violent silk as we call it. And it is earth friendly, it's less land intensive. You will see a picture, I'll show you. And then I've already covered this. So we have, like I said, that we organized a group of artisans that we were able to train, and we were able to make them understand small simple little things. We were able to change, and we were able to create an atmosphere where we could work and be productive. What was happening is that it's too much of leisure, and too much of leisure is also not good if you want to do something. So there has to be a balance. So that balance is what we were able to achieve. And we were able to create new designs. Now, some of them are freelancers, they're not necessarily our employees. So what happens is that they have learned by being with us, they have actually been able to create something. So something very simple. Our products, if you see, they're very minimalistic and simplistic. So they, initially when I first met them and I said that I want to do this, they didn't understand, like, why are we not making big fool means buta. Why are we not doing this? Why are we not? But this is not going to sell. So they understood the value of simplicity. It's like rediscovering themselves. Even though they are in rural setup, they still are urbanized in their heads, or they want to ape the urban setup, right? So that's what's happening. So they're also confused. Everybody's having an identity crisis. That's the reality. What to do? So we're dealing with it. And then we have been able to generate higher income for our artisans in the relatively short period of time that we've been working here. And some of them, like I said, they didn't have bank accounts, so we've been able to open bank accounts for them. So there are digital transactions happening. And then we also, now in the COVID era, we have figured out that we need to be extra vigilant about how we are working. So we are continuously engaging with our artisans and telling them what to do, what not to do, and just making sure that they are not, being careless and reckless about their health. So we just want to make sure that nobody dies making a sari for you. Before it was like, who made your clothes? Now it's like, we want to make sure nobody has died making your clothes. So it's one of those things. And we have like this co-create thing that I mentioned before. It's a new product development idea that we came out with as a result of the COVID situation. I'll explain that in the next slide. We use basic technology for our digital media communication. In the future, we are planning to do virtual exhibitions, and hopefully that will be, and we want to do it in a nice way. So we are talking to some people, and by maybe in the coming season we'll be able to launch something there. Backward linkages, and again the star appears. Now, why does the star appear? That's because, and before I explain why, I'll show you the people that I work with. These are the people, right? These are artisans. And this lady who's carrying the shawl is the one who sent me away with 30,000 rupees. She's the one. And then Okay, now this lady is the one on the right who's sitting with those leaves. She's the one who was wearing that half lungi and came out of that came out of that water in that state, and she transformed like that. And she's explaining to me what rearing of Eri silk is all about. So so these are the women that I work with. These are the kind of so this is that, not to say that they don't understand, they understand things, but if you want to explain to them what technology is a different ball game altogether. It's like talking to your mother or your aunt who are not interested in understanding what WhatsApp is, or what, not WhatsApp but technology. They all struggle with it in the same way they also struggle. So for us to be able to make anything worthwhile, it used to take, because you're traveling from Guwahati, to take me at least 3-4 hours to reach there. But because, and you know, we print out these papers and we go there, and then we make sure that they understand what we're doing. And then if it's not, if there are some changes in the design, then the whole process, it's a very long process. And no matter how much we explain to them that this is how you need to use WhatsApp, they wouldn't know. So what we did, so I saw their children. They were they used to be so fat. They used to wear most fashionable clothes, hairstyle, fashionable hairstyle. Everything is very fashionable about them. So I realized that they're exposed to the internet. So it doesn't matter if the mother doesn't know technology, the son knows technology. So I stopped talking to the mother. I started talking to the son. So, and I got the son involved, and the son got very excited because he started realizing that, okay, that mother is doing something important, and he became part of it. So last time when I got when I got my inventory stock, she had come with her bag. Her son was carrying her bag, and then the son was always, not available for the mother. And then he is thrilled. Now he looks after the logistical side or the operational side of the business, and she looks after the creative side of the business. That's how we've been able to evolve, and that's how we've been able to make things easier for us. And that's why that star in the previous slide, I think it's an incredible thing. Sorry, you were saying.
Very good, very good. Commendable, commendable.
Yeah, it is just it's most satisfying experience really of our journey so far. And then I talked to the son. Even today also I was talking, I had a new order, and then I'm talking to the son. His mother is not understanding how I want to take the picture. Son is really taking care of the pictures, and he's making sure the light is falling correctly. I'm like, how are you doing it? He's doing it. He's excited. So this is the story so far. And because this is a discussion on education, sir, I have got certain point of view. Maybe I thought I'll share with you.
Sure.
And from my own experience, and especially for entrepreneurs, I mean, first thing that we keep talking about identity crisis and whatnot, but we need to address it somehow. So one of the things that we need to, I'm merely pointing out that this is what needs to be done. I'm not saying that these are the solutions. Maybe you will be in a better place to offer a solution, but the idea and the reason why we want to do is because it's important. The role of new leaders is so crucial. So they must understand the value of what they have, where they come from, where their roots are from. That they need to stop wasting their time aping the West or aping somebody else. That is very important. So when I was in Bombay, the Bombay was aping West. When I'm in Assam, Assam is aping Bombay. Now God knows everybody is aping somebody. So everybody is. I'm sure I'm also aping somebody on some level probably, but at least there is that awareness, you know. So that's important. So we need to find innovative ways of addressing this identity crisis, and that's one thing. And also the other thing I thought that I should talk about. I mean, there is a lot of information to be garnered out there. Lot of information. There is nothing that you don't. I mean, there's nothing that's not available on the internet. Anybody can learn. So this learning thing has to be kind of very specific. So when you are talking to an entrepreneur, we need to be taught what we don't know, but we also need to know what we don't know, right? So that's very important. Otherwise, we will face more challenges and we'll waste a lot of time. How to become aware of things that you don't know. I mean, there are things that you don't know. You need to understand the importance of that knowledge. It's also very the team playing, where we come from a place where we are used to working in a certain, like from a professional point of view. It's difficult to find people who are here where who are equally motivated, or they need to be nurtured. We need to create that ecosystem that is born from here. And it is possible to do that. So how do we teach the entrepreneurs? How do we teach leaders how to nurture a team? That's very important. And also the other thing, I feel that in my field of work, there's so much to learn, sir. There's so much to learn, but there is not enough time, because you've got to do so much. You've got so much work to do. There's not enough time to become expert on everything. So maybe somebody should teach the hacks. I'm using the word hacks, but you know what I mean, easy fixes. So you don't need to become an expert on Photoshop, or you don't need to become an expert on digital media, but there are so many hacks available. What are those hacks and how can we use them? And in a very short period of time, it should be, I think, again, like we are talking about hard work, smart work, and also sensible work. It falls in that category of work. There's, like I said, there is a lot of information out there, and overload of information. But it's, so if I want to go on the internet and I look for where are the grants available for a sole entrepreneur, a sole proprietor, there's not there are just scattered information. So somebody should take an initiative, and especially an institute or an educational institute should take an initiative where there is a library, and people should just go there, and specifically very easy, like a handbook of sorts should be made and given to entrepreneurs, sector specific. And also the other thing is, like for example, we are taught how to form a company. Every time you go to a workshop for any program here, they will start teaching you how to form a company, what are the different kinds of company. I mean, that's not the information that we are going there for. What you need to know is how to form the company, not not technically. Like for example, who are the kinds of co-founders you want? How do you identify partners? What to look for partners, what not to look for partners? You know, and that you don't need to form a company straight away. You need to follow, there is no prescription for each, like every entrepreneur, there's no such set prescription for everybody. There are unique solutions to unique problems. So things like that. And also the involving the next generation is very important. You know, when you talk to artisans, especially, like I gave you an example, so there I took them to the museum once, and I showed them the same museum that I got inspired in. I took them there, and then I got them equally excited about what the Noi Mohi was about. So that was a way of educating them, instead of giving them a lecture on what Eri Silk is. So there's the other thing that we are working on, sir, and this has begun already actually, but very quietly. So we are in the process of identifying ambassadors of Northeast India who can voice the value of Northeast India, and what the inherent nature of Northeast India is, and what we stand for. So how to be leaders in the slow fashion, the slow movement space is a very important thing, and there are plenty of people who understand it, and it's just a matter of coming together and voicing it together. We don't want people to think that Assam is importing these ideas. I get kind of irked when I hear this, and it's what happened with me also. I got introduced to slow fashion from another person, and I am an Assamese. So I realize why it happens, but I feel like it should not happen anymore. When people have enough kind of access to, people who are especially in the industry, working in this industry, should start embracing the values of what we are about. So this is the Go Slow campaign. And the other thing is that what I told you that I spoke before about co-create. So what we are doing is we're presenting the old normal in a new way. So we are inviting buyers to work with the Noi Mohi team and create their pieces together, right? So when we say work from home, we talk about a laptop or an internet connection, but here the work from home culture has been there for forever. So the lady is working from home in the sense that she's cooking, she's cleaning, she's taking her children to school, and she comes back, and then she starts weaving. So, and in her loom, that is in her yard. So it's a work from home culture. We're presenting it. Now the buyer becomes part of that process. How does he become part of the process? Is like this. So this is the translation processor. So this is the lady on the right. She was standing listening to a conversation. We were inside that room and she was listening to a conversation, I think. And look at what she's wearing. She's wearing a two-piece sari. Can you see the translation of that sari into the other sari on the what the other lady is wearing on the left? That is one of the most loved sari of Noi Mohi, and we created it from this moment. It kind of it really came into existence from this. So this is how it was translated. Uh, you see, so then buyer, so in this co-create process, what happens is the buyer becomes part of this. So we are bringing them a step closer, right? So that's what's happening. And the other thing about women now, I'll tell you about my own experience with women. I find that in this time, especially, that I have never connected with people like this the way I am connecting right now. Although we are isolated and all that, but we are really connecting also. I ended up writing a small little post on social media that I'm going to get back to my yoga routine. And as a result of that post, a lot of people from my past came into my present, and they said that we also want to be part of it. And we created a group called Shakti. Okay, in that group, each one of us is doing something or the other for our mind and our body. So, and we share it with the rest of the group. So somebody is feeling lazy, somebody is not feeling good enough. There are mothers in the group, there are single women in the groups, all kinds of women. And there are such inspiring women, the kind of pulse that we are generating in that. And then every day we are doing yoga. So there is not a single day that we don't want to do yoga, because there is that power that's pushing us. And that's the first time in my life I realized how we can draw inspiration from each other, especially from women. If we come together, there is a lot to be inspired, and there's a lot to be grateful for. And so that is what I'm sharing my own personal example, but there are different ways that this can be achieved, you know. Also, if we are panicking and if things are not falling in place, because obviously things are going to take time to fall in place, we have to be realistic about it. I have spent a lot of time running around like a headless chicken, not knowing where I'm coming or going. So from that experience, I'm telling you, it's better not to do that. It's better not to react. It's better to respond than react. So just take your time. It's okay if you want to find yourself a side hustle, and that rewards you with a sense of purpose. Then get all anxious about life. So this was my way of calming down, my way of moving anxiety away from my life and coming to a place of calmness where I started responding rather than reacting. So I think I took a lot of time talking. I can go on talking because I love talking. And like I said before, I love to be heard, but I think I'll end this presentation on this note. if with your permission.
Wonderful, wonderful.
And these are my contact details if anybody wants to get in touch with me.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, just read out, because a lot of people from the world over are there. Just the first part. On which email do you want people to write to you?
There are two email IDs that I like to share. One is my ID is priyanka.s.kaushik@gmail.com.
Okay.
Yeah, and the other one is noimohi, NOIMOHI @gmail.com.
Okay. Okay. And is there any website of yours at this point of time, or you're making?
We have a website for lead generation. It's noimohi.com.
Okay.
But yeah, we are
okay.
but we are more available on our Instagram account. So if you can follow us there, it's Noi_Mohi.
Okay, those are my friends. Those are joining from Latin America, because most of you speak Spanish. So over here you can understand. That's why we have listed for a little longer period. You can click the photograph, or you can just note down whatever. But nowadays, use the technology. And today I learned one new word from her. We were talking all the time, hard work, smart work. She used one term today, sensible work. Wow. That's the another new term I'm going to join, and I'm going to claim this is mine. I won't use
That's okay. I'm glad to hear that you liked it.
That's something is really nice, you know. Okay, so couple of points which you have given to all of us, and they are very important. Ma'am, if you'll close the screen,
Yeah.
we can just bring you live on the main photo, and then we can just take it on further.
Yeah.
Now, lots of people have joined you from Saudi Arabia. People have also joined you from Oman, Doha, Qatar.
Wow.
People
Wow.
are also there
Thank
from
you.
Dubai. So a couple of places. Now, few things I would like to quickly understand from you. One very good suggestion you have given that we will take on from our chamber, that the entire process, whatsoever has to be given, practical part of it should be given on the web portal from the government side, so that people, those are interested to become entrepreneur or take up a particular thing, they should get a practical know-how instead of just getting the theoretical part of it. That's well taken. uh, if it's not a secret issue, we would just like to understand that your this particular product, is it more in the domestic market or is it more overseas?
Oh, we would love it to be. It's not a secret issue at all. We would love everybody to know about it. Right now, domestic, more domestic,
Okay,
but we also have some international clients, and people value this silk more. Actually, they understand the value of this silk more than people in Assam. So even
right,
the two-piece saris that we make, women from Delhi and Hyderabad buy them more than the women here.
right, right.
Yeah.
Because why I shared this thing with you is our chamber is more with the non-resident Indians than in India. We have got more people abroad in different countries. There's a gentleman, Mr. Pratap Singh, who is our advisor and who is president for the Latin America. So about 8 different countries, he was just sharing over here that more awareness, and in case if something you would like to take it abroad in different countries,
Would
people
love to.
people love to see, and particularly it's eco-friendly. You have mentioned more and
Yes.
more what you have given is it's eco-friendly. So that
Yes.
goes with us on many occasions.
Yes.
Uh,
We, so so we are working with some proposals right now from Sweden. Hopefully that will translate into some kind of opportunity. And also, I mean, that I understand that because from my previous project that I mentioned, the yard, I realized that people in Europe, America, Australia, Japan value these kind of products more than anybody else in the world. So it is definitely in the vision of things to do. It's this next thing that we need to do right now because of the COVID situation. Everything kind of came into a staggering halt. So if there is anybody who's interested, especially from your international network, who would like to participate in the co-create campaign, we would be most happy because the co-create campaign is also, I forgot to mention, so here the buyer not only becomes part of the buying process, but also is if he is willing to pay a certain premium, can adopt a certain loom. So that loom, say for example, belongs to an artisan called Manju. So the buyer adopts Manju's loom and then it pays a premium. Part of that money goes to the family of Manju. So we are supporting because she also needs the work, and right now we don't have so many orders. So whatever, instead of going mass, we are making it even more niche. So and for that reason, we would need to penetrate into the international markets more. So we don't have to sell saris to them. The idea right now, we are selling saris because we are in India. But if we are moving to Europe, then the co-create campaigns take shape in a completely different way, and we are working on that. We're hoping that something like that happens.
okay. And secondly, you had mentioned Manipur and you mentioned West Bengal when you
Yes.
had given the complete. So, is there any kind of forum or networking or association or women entrepreneurs confluence or something of that kind where all of you interact with
Oh
each other?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Definitely, there are many cohorts right now that are in Assam that have come about. There are some programs that I'm also part of, and then I've connected with lot of art, not just people in the textile industry, but people from various backgrounds. So there are these cohorts that are coming up right now, and a lot of people are investing their time and energy. Organizations, governments also, spending a lot of time and energy in Northeast India. So there are those options.
Finally, would you like to say something about Northeast and invite people from world over to visit Northeast?
Please, yes. I like I said, to me, Northeast is so. I mean, I love the feminine aspect of nature, and I'm not talking women especially. I'm talking about the feminine aspect on humanity. It has a certain aesthetics and certain sense of exuberance and of vibration that we feel when we are around such energy is what Northeast represents. And when you land in Northeast, you will see that the air that you're breathing is different, distinctly different, because of the lushness, because of the fertility, the kind of, um, it really is buzzing with life. That is what it is. So if you want to experience life, you want to come to Northeast India, and it's not just about the wildlife here. It's also, there's so many things. If you go to Majuli, you will have a completely different experience of what Assam is all about. If you go to Upper Assam, there are different experiences. If you go to Lower Assam, there are different experiences. So people, so you will experience life here, and with people, food, the very air that you breathe, is that's what you will experience. So I invite you all to please come, and if you ever want to connect with me, and I will be more than happy to take you around in some of the places in Northeast, and if you're into textile and stuff like that.
Okay, wonderful. It's a pleasure. So, ladies and gentlemen, there are 8 beautiful states in northeast part of India. People are so nice. People are so good. And when we talk about the northeast, all of us we meet on Sunday evening at 5 p.m. If you know, which I have already shown you in the slides as well. First of all, every evening we get celebrity like you met her today. Every evening you have got 7 o'clock startups, entrepreneurs, motivators, and somebody who can add value to your life, who can give a new dimension to your life. Because see, when we share the information, when we bring the confluence of the knowledge and the wisdom and the expertise of different people, there's so much to take away from her this evening. And at the same time, it may start up new avenues, new business opportunities, new collaborations, new connectivity, new creativity. There's a lot which we all can do together. So do join us every evening at 7 p.m. But sometime I wonder, I'm going to say there are more than 600, the watch parties and everything on the Facebook. Why do we feel shy coming and logging in the Zoom webinar? If you take it Zoom, otherwise then it's fine because where from and the name and all that. But otherwise, I think life is for learning and lifelong learning. And as long as we learn from each other, we all grow, humanity grow, wisdom grow, knowledge sharing is very important for all of us. Finally, Priyanka ma'am, how do you look at ASEAN, the particularly 10 countries which we have got next to northeast part of India? You've got Myanmar, you've got Cambodia, you've got Laos, Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia, Philippines, Brunei. There is a president of Indo-Myanmar Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Naresh. He has expressed his desire. He would like to get in touch with you. He
Oh,
says that something we can do with her in Myanmar. Maybe
oh,
they will organize a digital conference of yours initially. And then he says we are already doing lots of textile and other kind of a business. And we would like to get in touch with her.
oh,
So I'm sending your consent that why not? Please get in touch with her.
yes, yes.
And that is one. And
Thank you.
secondly, Pratap Singh ji, I've already discussed with you. Thirdly, there is a lady, Barbara from UK. It's near London, Dr. Barbara. And she's telling that do you create the outfits as per the country specific, or
Yeah,
like the people in UK, if they have got a particular kind of a costume,
yes,
red dress sense or something, so you
yes.
will be able to provide this material in that design also.
Yes, yes. That's exactly what I mentioned. So in India, we are doing saris because that's what sells here. But if you're in Europe, then we are making stole shawls, throws, semi-furnishing products, and whatever is required, we can make it. It's not a problem.
Okay, okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, with this, we come to the end of this particular program. And I will be taking you to, depending on your time availability, should you wish to listen to these 5 little girls, that's your choice on water saving. Should you wish to go, because it's all up to you, because depending on your other engagements, and we hope that we have given you sufficient time to say whatever you wanted to tell us this evening. Final word from your side. When somebody look towards the watch, then we have to say goodbye. Thank you. Thank you for joining us this evening. Final word from your side, whatever you want to tell the entire humanity and the civilization and the global family. And somewhere, is there any mask also being prepared, something of that kind? I'm just thinking.
Actually, yes, I have, because a lot of people have asked us. So we have made some masks. I'll share the pictures if you like.
Will it be economic?
Well, the thing is, the silk is quite expensive, so it is difficult to make it economic in that sense. So it is it will be a premium mask. Yeah.
Because
But the thing is that even if you make it in cotton, the problem is when we use handloom, the amount of energy that the artisan will use to make that fabric is the same amount of energy that she makes in making eri silks. I have to pay her the same amount of money.
I totally agree. I totally agree. Extend you a very warm invitation. 5th of September was India's Teachers' Day, and 5th of October is a World Teachers' Day. And right from the UNESCO, we will be having celebration from the world over, when you will have the entire global fraternity on 3rd of October. That happens to be a Saturday. We will invite you that day. You will be in a position to meet everybody from the world over, including the people, those are into textile, those are working into textile, and those are into the teaching, business, skills, competencies, whatever is there. So we will invite you on 3rd of October. I will tell my team, and I hope they are listening wherever they are. And we should invite her to give her a window and a slot. And she should be with us on 3rd of October, 5-7 minutes, where the world should get the message. And I think it was wonderful. Northeast is particularly next to my heart as well. I've got great respect, great regards, great love, great affection. And I've already prayed to Almighty, because moksha to nahi milna hai mujhe. I know that I have to come back on this planet again. So thereby, next birth, I've already requested Almighty, I should be born in Northeast. I spent more time in Arunachal Pradesh as compared to Assam. I was there for quite some time. And of course, wonderful place, wonderful people. Think about something with the herbal greenery and a green tourism blended with your kind of a work, because Dr. A.M. Singh, who is the principal chief conservator and the ultimate authority for all the wildlife sanctuaries, national park, forest, everything of Assam, he came on the program last Sunday, and there he gave the vision what all we could never know, ladies and gentlemen, that drones are going on across the entire Assam just to see that animals are safe, and during this COVID-19 they are in a position to move across. So lot is to be done, lot is to be worked out. And thank you very much, ma'am, for joining us this evening. Thanks for being a part of this evening. We look forward to have you on many more occasions. And I pray to Almighty, as an elder brother, as a father, that your business should grow, you should do very well, you should become inspiration for many, many, many other youngsters, particularly the women folk, those are coming forward. And your ecosystem of this positivity should travel to the universe through Noi Moi. How do you pronounce?
Noi Mohi.
Noi Mohi. Okay.
Yes.
Noi
H is not silent. A lot of people make the H silent, but it is not silent.
Why I make H silent? Because Sharmas don't write H in Assam. So
okay.
They write Sharma.
Sharma, true.
So God bless all of us. Thanks for joining us. And my deep thanks and great gratitude to Colonel Anil Pokhriyal as well to bring you today on this particular program. And Sector Skill Council of theirs is doing great job to bring the entrepreneurs further. So ladies and gentlemen, wait for tomorrow evening for yet another powerful evening. But now I got to get to my 5 little girls. Those are going to talk on water. Thank you, ma'am. Thanks for coming. Thank you very much. God bless everybody in the Northeast. God bless Assam. Thank you. Ayushi.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, Ayushi, good evening, child. Unmute your mic, beta. Great.
Good evening.
Oh, good evening, Ayushi. How are you?
I'm good, sir. How are you?
Oh, God is kind, beta. God is kind. I hope people around you, parents, family, neighbors, community, all are okay.
Yes, sir. All are good.
Okay, but your throat is bad today, I think. Oh, huh? Okay. Or is it the sound cords which is creating that kind of a thing? Okay. Ayushi, what would you like to convey about water conservation? Please go ahead.
Okay, sir. So today I'm going to talk about ways to conserve water in schools and colleges. So eco taps, eco toilets, eco showers have recently developed to reduce the usage of water. So they are nothing but low flow of water while using. So they actually reduces 84% of water compared to normal taps and flushes. And as the global warming is increasing, the temperature of the earth is also increasing. So while we water the plants, half of the water gets evaporated fast or quicker. So to avoid that evaporation, we can use mulches. So they are a layer of organic things like hay and leftovers. So which are spread near the tree or a plant in the soil, so that water does not get evaporated as it is pour on the plants. So at last, I want to say that creating awareness is also important. We have the solution, it's okay. But until and unless people will not be aware and take actions to it, we are not going to get to the what we want to do. So I want to conclude by saying that Abhi and New said in their YouTube channel, एक एक के करने से क्या फर्क पड़ता है, एक एक के करने से फर्क पड़ता है. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ayushi. God bless you, child. Stay safe, stay fine, and keep coming on the program. It would be a pleasure to have you with us. Rachel, good evening. How are you, child?
Hello.
Good evening, Rachel. How are you?
Good evening, sir. I'm fine. How are you?
How are you, my child? You're fine?
Yes, I'm fine. Am I audible?
You are perfectly audible. Everybody can hear you very well. No problem. Okay. Please go ahead. Just share your views because the whole world wants to listen to Rachel.
Okay. So today I'll be discussing water conservation in public places.
Okay.
So as we all know, so many liters of water go to waste daily from our own households, from buildings, through because of open taps, long showers, and car washes, all of that. But today I'll be discussing water conservation that can be applied to public places, and this is another main contributor to water wastage. So while plants and trees are used alongside roads and sidewalks and parks as a way to beautify and provide us with fresh air, the maintenance and water provided for these plants are enormous. So there's a lot of ways in which we can conserve water and choose to use other methods as well. So planting drought-resistant plants and trees is very useful because you only need to water those plants once or twice a week, and they give the same appearance and quality of air for all of us. And using mulch or grass clippings around plant bases to retain moisture, again, is another way. And the last one is placing drainage plates under plant pots and filling half of those plates with water so that plants can draw moisture from the soil. So these are the ways in which lots of water can be conserved and used for other purposes.
Thank you, Rachel.
And
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, please go ahead.
The next issue is leakages. So a lot of times leakages of pipes and underwater systems go unnoticed by us, and so much water is wasted. So there must be frequent checks of these water systems. Also, if we notice soft, wet spots on parks and lawns, that could indicate like underground leakages, and it should be our responsibility to report these to plumbers or landscape maintenance and make a difference. And now, just to conclude, I will point out other areas in which water conservation can take place, which is through avoiding installations of water features like fountains, which they use up a lot of water. Unless they use recycled water, it's not a good way of conserving water. And the last one is a simple one, but it could make a difference, is covering swimming pools and other huge water areas which we don't use, so that it reduces evaporation and wastage of water. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful, Rachel. Thank you very much. You covered so many areas. God bless you, child. God bless you. Thank you. Athel, good evening.
Hi, sir. Good evening.
How are you,
Uh,
child?
yeah. Hi, sir. I'm good, sir. How are you?
God is kind, beta. God is kind. Athel,
Yeah, God is kind, sir. I
let's,
agree.
let's
Yeah.
hear you. I hope your family members are all are fine.
Yes, sir. They're doing great. Yeah. How about you? How's your family?
Kind. God is kind. Okay.
Okay,
Please
that's
go ahead.
great.
Let's share
Okay.
your views. Let's share your.
Okay, yeah, sure. Okay, I think we're making a lot of progress as a human race when it comes to water conservation, specifically government policies and schemes implemented by the government. Although we have a long way to go to solve our water crisis, I think the policies that the following governments have taken are a great start to promote water conservation. So, for example, the South Korean government actually started a project where they built on a artificial island a green space like a rooftop vegetation, and they've also installed rainwater collection systems which will capture water to be recycled and used for household appliances, irrigation on parks, and for industrial buildings, reducing the demand for fresh water. And apart from that, I feel that we can also adopt a lot of small habits in our everyday life practices. For example, when it rains, we can, put a bucket in our backyards or our verandas or corridors, as some people like to call it. And we can also use like water from the pasta we cooked, or like rice water is a great source of nutrition for plants. And now, especially because microgreens is such a huge system, now it can be used for hydroponics as well. Yeah, so there's a lot of small habits that we can implement in our lives to make actually a very significant impact on the environment. And I acknowledge that we may feel helpless at times because the scale of the problem is so massive. But then I think you might think to yourself, when you put a bucket in the corridor, how am I contributing? How am I solving the world's water crisis? But then it's those small actions that you can control over, and every one of our actions have a small impact. So all these actions combined together have a very massive impact on our environment, so it can help us save our planet and give our children the future that they deserve. Thank you for your attention.
Wonderful, wonderful. And you use the term microgreens also. Oh my God. Our kids are so intelligent. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Anushka, good evening. Anushka,
Good evening, sir.
how are you, beta?
I'm doing good, sir. What about you?
God is very kind, child. God is very kind. Okay, please go ahead. Let's share your views.
Okay, so first of all, yeah, thank you, sir. First of all, good evening to all. I would like to start my talk by quoting, "We never know the worth of water till the well is dry." Someone somewhere rightly said. Of course, no water, no life. As it is becoming worse because of the pollution and the climate change, water conservation is the perfect way to improve the quality of water as well as to balance the current and future water needs. To get through the water conservation, we should know the importance, the goal, and how we can conserve the water. Let's turn to the main point, which is about how to conserve the water. There are many ways that we can do in order to preserve the water. First is to reduce the water usages. With this point, we can choose to do simple ways that each family can practice at home. For example, we can stop leaking of water. With this water leakage, we cannot save or protect the water. So we better check whether there is a leakage in our taps or not. Like as Richard previously said. Now, I would like to put more emphasis on the conservation techniques on how water can be saved effectively in industries and factories. Okay, so I'm starting with my first point with respect of food and beverage industries. Upgrading upgrading equipments which utilize water should be frequently done. Old equipments always tend to consume more water. Traditional water-cooled ice makers use about 100 gallons of water just to cool the condenser for producing 100 pounds of ice. Upgraded ice makers save extra 100 gallons of water from going down the drain. Okay, so my second point is leak detection, which is very important to measure in industries. Since many people work in industries and they use the taps in the toilets and the wash basins or their workplaces and many number of times a day. It is very normal for the taps to become loose and drip water every after it is fully closed, even after it is fully closed. Uh, thus, care must be taken for that, and maintenance department should continuously check the taps for leakage, and this will help in saving many gallons of water. Next, workers must be aware of the fact that checking and informing about leaking taps is not only the work of the maintenance department, but it is also their moral responsibility towards the society and themselves, and also towards their companies and the factories for which they are working for. And the last point I want to add is like water metering can be installed in industries as it will help to identify water leaks in addition to monitoring its usage. Knowing the source of water is also important to conserve water. We should know how much the water is important and learn how to save it. We can protect, also prevent the damage of water. Tap. A dripping tap can 30,000 liters of water every year. Can you imagine how much it is? Now, if it's let out at a time, then it can flow us all at once. 3% of water is fresh, out of which 2% is in frozen state, and only 1% of earth which is drinkable. And please think of it before wasting it. Please start conserving water for future and for us. We don't know much, so please show us the way to conserve water so that we may teach like to all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, child. Thank you. Very kind of you. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much. Wonderful suggestion. Shubhra, good evening. How are you, child?
Good evening, sir. How are you?
God is
I'm good, sir.
Please go ahead. Please go ahead, Shubhra.
Yeah. So, my topic for today is water conservation, emphasizing how we can save water in households. Now, saving water in households is of utmost importance because it also helps preventing in water pollution in nearby lakes, rivers, and local water beds. Now, there are so many little ways where we can conserve water through our own selves. Living at the comfort of our homes is shocking. You can always turn off your tap water when it's not needed. There's so much water that's wasted while you're just letting your tap run while you're brushing. You can also prefer a dishwasher over hand washing because hand washing actually takes more water than dishwashing does. Then you should always be aware of the hidden leaks present in your toilets, present in your sinks, because that can often lead to gallons of water being wasted every year. You can take shorter baths instead of showers because in showers, let's be honest, everybody tends to just be free. If somebody is interested in gardening, they should, as somebody else mentioned before, they should use drought resistant trees, and they should also use minimum amount of sprinklers. One can also invest into an efficient model of electronic appliances at their homes, and you can also make a change in your diet. Eat less water intensive foods because our diets actually account roughly for half of the water we use. All food has a water footprint, but some are much larger than others. Eating less beef is one of the most water intensive foods, and it's a smart way to start. Shifting away from animal products and eating more vegetables and stuff like that can shrink your water footprint significantly. So this is what I had to say.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Thank you, sir. How sweet.
You stay put. You stay put here only. All the 4 girls, kindly switch on your cameras, please. All the 4 girls, kindly switch on your camera. Yes, everybody. Where is the Anushka? Where is the Ayushi? Where is Ayushi? Yeah, now the digital You can come to know who is there, who is gone. Okay, no worries. I just wanted to invite all of you because the whole world is watching you. And I wanted to thank that these small kiddies, these small children, these small my packages, they are my children, grandchildren. They are doing wonderful on this planet. They are tomorrow. They are future. They are the one those are going to take this legacy forward. We are proud of you. We are proud of these children. We are proud of these kids. And you people are going to do wonder on this planet. My only request to you is tomorrow, when you see your video, you get it onto the YouTube, you can share with all your friends because you're a global celebrity now. These views which we are gathering, they are stored in the YouTube. The whole world you can share, all your friends you can share. So anybody who is coming in this particular program, when you come over here, consider that point of time. Remember the dialogue of Shah Rukh Khan. My competition is not with anybody. My competition is with myself. You got to share your ideas. You got to share your vision. You got to share your expertise. And all of us, these my kiddies, you all have to promise you will come regularly. You will bring more friends also. You will try and promote water conservation as much as you can. It should not remain in the books only. It should come in our day-to-day life. What we say, we must practice. What we preach, we must practice. That is the way we have to go by. We are proud of you. The world is proud of you. The globe is proud of you. And we convey our deep regards and lots of blessings to all of you. Thank you very much for coming this evening. Thank you very much for joining today. So God bless. Although you were the last Shubhra, but the last person remained the main celebrity. So sometime waiting till end gives you special reward also. But others should not feel, let me get Rachel also, let me get Ethel also, let me get Anushka also, and let everybody know that Ayushi is not here after talking. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. God bless
Thank you,
all of
sir.
you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Tomorrow,
sir. Thank you so much.
tomorrow this video will be available. You
Thank you,
can
sir.
see it on the YouTube, Dr. Gulshan Sharma's page. From there, you can download, share with all your classmates, friends, and everybody. God bless and stay safe, the whole universe. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are. You've got to be taking care of your health. Sometime you got to have more prayers for others. Let everybody on this planet remain fine, safe, and healthy. God bless the entire universe. Vasudev,
Thank you, sir. Wishing you the same. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Vasudev,
Thank you, sir.
Vasudev Kutumbakam.